Good morning, YouTubians. It's Kermit's Ghost. Well, Halloween has come around once again. That can only mean one thing. The Horror Awards are back. Now, last year I covered 5 films from the 1980s, so we're moving forward a decade to the 90s. Let's see what movies I have chosen this time round. Just one stipulation: they must be Blu-rays that I own in my collection. So who will take the coveted award? Okay, first title up for the award is Misery, made 1990, so it just about qualifies. Directed by Rob Reiner, based on a novel of the same name by Stephen King and adapted to the big screen by William Goldman. Now, this is a simple tale of a woman called Annie Wilkes, portrayed by Kathy Bates. Her performance actually won her the Academy Award as well as a Golden Globe. Now, Annie is a nurse who happens to find an unconscious man in his car. So he crashed during a snowstorm, and she takes him back to her remote house to treat him for his injuries. He's got a dislocated shoulder and 2 broken legs. And the man in question is Paul, being played by James Caan, and he's an author. And Annie claims that the phone lines are down and offers to nurse him until they're repaired, and then he can go to hospital. She says she also recognises him, and she is his #1 fan. And they get along at first. He lets her read the manuscript to his next novel, and that's when things actually take a turn for the worse. She disapproves of his next book, makes him burn it, and provides him with a typewriter and tells him he's got to rewrite it. She also tells him no one knows that he's there, and now basically he's her prisoner. There is a scene in this with a sledgehammer will make you wince. Both actors are on top form, but Kathy's performance of the unhinged angel of death is just seared into my mind. Anybody that actually watches this incredible movie. But would it take the award? Okay, next one is a controversial entry in so much as it's a Marmite film. You either love it or hate it, and the movie in question is The Blair Witch Project. The other end of the decade, this one, 1999, brilliantly promoted this film. They put out flyers of the images of the principal actors stating that they were missing and offering a reward for information leading to their whereabouts. Now, although no stranger to found footage horror films, audiences were led to believe that this was the real deal. And the story follows 3 film students. They are making a documentary on the Blair Witch myth in Burkesville, Maryland, and they are interviewing locals who recall their experiences surrounding the phenomena. They even mention a hermit called Rustin Parr who lived in a shack in the woods and killed 7 local children back in the 1940s. Everything is filmed on handheld camcorders, so it's a little bit shaky. 3 students are Heather, Mike and Josh, their actual names, and they're all played by unknowns, adding to the illusion. They head off into the woods in search for further evidence, and this is where things take a turn for the worse. Josh accidentally knocks over a pile of stones known as a cairn, which are burial stones. Next morning, they've been rebuilt outside his tent. They lose their maps, well, their only map. Temper starts to fray, and they hear stones clacking together and sticks breaking, and the sound of children laughing. And their tents shaking as well, as there's something outside moving them. And this is all happening in the middle of nowhere in the woods, pitch black. I'm not going to say any more on that, but this is a very effective horror film. Less is more approach. I loved it, but did I love it enough to give it the award? Okay, next movie up for the award is The Sixth Sense. This is a film written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Came out in 1999. Stars Bruce Willis as Malcolm Crowe. He's a prominent child psychiatrist in this who comes to be in the care of a 9-year-old boy called Cole Sear, being played by Haley Joel Osment. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to point out this is some of the best child acting I've ever seen. He was nominated for many awards, including Best Supporting Actor, and he was only 11 when they made this. Incredible job. Anyway, Cole is a very troubled young boy, claims he sees dead people who are unaware they've passed away. They walk around just like regular people. Obviously, this is going to scare Cole, as sometimes they appear in the condition that they died in. For example, there was a teenage boy who appears in Cole's hallway with the back of his head blown off from a gunshot wound. The tension in this film is palpable. There's also one particular scene where Cole is in the need of a toilet late at night. He knows nobody else is awake and there's a ghost nearby because the temperature drops, and he hears somebody sort of messing around in the kitchen. You can feel the atmosphere and the nervousness of him having to leave his makeshift safe space, which is a tent that he's adorned with religious idols. There is a huge plot twist, obviously, which I won't reveal in case you haven't seen this yet for some reason. Also stars Toni Collette as Cole's mother Lynn and Olivia Williams as Malcolm's wife Anna. Music in this is provided by 9 times nominated composer James Newton Howard. Will this take the award? Well, you have to wait and see. Next movie up for the award is Silence of the Lambs. This came out in 1991, directed by Jonathan Demme, and it stars Jodie Foster as an FBI trainee called Clarice Starling, who is selected by her boss Jack Crawford to interview a captured cannibalistic serial killer called Hannibal Lecter, being played by Sir Anthony Hopkins, in the hopes that he can shed some light on a case that they're actually all working on at the moment, involving a serial killer known as Buffalo Bill, so called because he skins his victims. Bill is played by Ted Levine. He's as creepy as it gets. He kidnaps a young woman called Catherine and he keeps her alive for the time being in a dry well in his basement, forcing her to apply moisture to her skin before he intends to remove it and wear it for himself. I did say he was creepy, didn't I? Now, Catherine is the daughter of a senator, so the heat is on to track him down and in turn rescue her daughter Catherine. And Hannibal takes full advantage of this. He's being kept isolated in a dungeon type enclosure, sort of maximum security type of thing, and rightly so. But he's offered a transfer if he provides clues to Buffalo Bill's identity. Now, Hannibal and Clarice do develop this mutual respect for each other, and he does help her with the investigation. And in the meantime, Lecter's moved to Memphis and he's kept in his temporary prison cell, still isolated, where he's tended by two guards who he actually gets the better of. And what I mean by that, he chews the face off one and he clubs the other one to death, enabling him to escape. So now there's actually two serial killers on the loose. I'm not going to say any more than that. Anthony and Jodie both won the Academy Award for Best Actor and Actress, as well as Jonathan Demme for Best Director. But will it win the Horror Award?
I found this on the web.
Not long to wait now. My watch. Okay, last nomination for the coveted award. Bit of a wild card this one. So 1996, I've chosen The Frighteners. It's a supernatural horror comedy from the Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson. And it stars Michael J. Fox as Frank Bannister. He's a widow who's making a living ridding houses of poltergeists, exorcisms, if you will. Fact of the matter is, he's actually providing the ghosts himself. You see, Frank knows three spirits. You've got Cyrus, played by Chi McBride, who is somebody who passed away back in the 1970s, going by his fashion. You've got Stuart, played by Jim Fife, who is a bookworm from the 1950s. And you've got the Judge, played by John Astin, aka Gomez from the Addams Family. And he's a dead gunslinger from the Old West, and his spirit corpse is almost disintegrated. Now, Frank sends these three in ahead of him, and they causes the occupants to believe the houses are haunted, requiring Frank's expertise to rid them of the annoying spirits. There's also a second story going along as well, with a deceased serial killer who died before reaching his target kill number back in 1964, so he's continuing his killing spree from the other side, dressed as a Grim Reaper. And that character is Johnny Bartlett, being played by Jake Busey, and Johnny is responsible for killing Frank's wife. And he aims to stop him, but he must have a near-death experience to do so. And I'm not going to say any more than that. Very original story. I like the effects they use in this. The spirits have this blue hue about them, and see-through as well. It's mad as a box of frogs, this film, but it works for me. But would it win the coveted award? Drum roll, please. So the winner was The Sixth Sense, and rightly so in my opinion. I watched all these films in preparation for this video, so they're all fresh in my mind. Love this film. This is just incredible. The performances in this film, when Cole is in the car with his mother and you're talking about his grandmother and the dead woman outside the car who's broken neck in the accident, incredible. Had me in tears. Absolutely had me in tears. And if a film can do that after rewatch after rewatch after rewatch, then perfect. I know there's a big plot twist, but you can go back and see little bits of clues leading up to that plot twist. Just not a bad performance in this film at all. Absolutely brilliant. Perfect. So there you go. That is the winner of this year's competition of the coveted award from Tiger Shop. Who will win in the noughties next year? So that was it. Remember, this is just a little bit of fun. Have you seen any of these films, plan to pick them up, or just want to leave a comment, and do so down below. I will read every single one and try to reply if I have the time. Give the video a thumbs up, really does help the channel, and subscribe if you haven't. It's all free, why wouldn't you? On that note, all that's left to say is thank you so much for choosing my channel today and watching my video. Take care. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.